Newsom to allow for public meetings to be conducted virtually. So we will move forward with this morning's agenda via Zoom and simultaneously cast the meeting for the public on YouTube.
Thank you very much. Then if we could proceed to the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'd like to ask Bob Joe if he would please lead us in the pledge. All others, please mute your mic.
Thank you. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bob. And now we will move on to our roll call. Cecilia.
Thank you. Good morning. Alhambra,
Here.
Arcadia,
Yeah.
Azusa,
Present.
Baldwin Park,
Here.
Bradbury,
Here.
Claremont,
Corey Kalaikai, present.
Covina, Duarte,
I'm here. I just wanted to mention something. I saw Emmanuel Garcia last night at one of the gift things, and he said he has not been receiving these at all, these agendas or anything at all. So I just wanted to make mention of that if he is indeed not on today.
Okay, thank you for that. I haven't heard that he hasn't been receiving. He hasn't reached out, so I will make sure to touch base with him. Thank you.
Sure.
Almani,
Present.
Glendora,
Present.
Industry, Erwindale,
Irwindale trustee Garcia here. Thank you, Margaret.
La Puente,
La Ponte here.
Laverne, LA County, Monrovia,
Here. Here.
Monterey Park,
Here.
Pasadena,
Rachel Johnbeck, present.
Pomona, Rosemead,
Here.
San Dimas, San Gabriel,
Present.
Sierra Madre,
John Capocha here.
South Pasadena,
Joe here.
Temple City,
Good morning, Cynthia here.
Walnut,
Anna Wu here.
West Covina.
Here.
Thank you. With that, we do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Next order of business. I'm not aware of any changes in our business. Someone, I think we need to have someone mute their mic. Getting a lot of background noise. At any rate, Cecilia, I'm not aware of any matters that we have to take out of order. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Thank you. Moving on then, we have our public comment portion. Did we receive any request for public comment on items not on our agenda?
No public comment.
Okay, and I'm not seeing any raised hands, and we will move to our consent calendar, which are items 3.1 to 3.8, and they are ordinary items which can be taken all in one motion. Unless we have,
Finley, move consent.
thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, and that is that Joseph Leon?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Did we have any public comment on the consent calendar?
No public comment.
And I'm not seeing any raised hands. So if we could please have a roll call vote.
Yes, Alhambra,
Yes.
Arcadia,
Yes.
Azusa,
Yes.
Baldwin Park,
Yes.
Bradbury,
Yes.
Claremont,
Yes.
Duarte,
Yes.
Almani,
Yes.
Glendora,
Yes.
Irwindale,
Yes.
La Puente,
Yes.
Monrovia,
Yes.
Monterey Park,
Yes.
Pasadena,
Yes.
Rosalie,
Yes.
San Gabriel,
Yes.
Sierra Madre,
Yes.
South Pasadena,
Yes.
Temple City,
Yes.
Walnut,
Yes.
and West Covina.
Yes.
Thank you. With that, the motion passes.
Thank you very much. With that, we'll move on to our presentations, and we have this morning Tristan Hallam, our new Director of Scientific Programs, and he's bringing us a report on the MedFly tour. And although that's not directly related to us, it does apply. Are there lessons to learn here? Tristan. I think I'm not hearing him. Is it just me? I don't have audio.
I don't have audio either.
No.
I don't either.
None of us do.
Am I still muted?
Oh,
But
there you
now
go.
you're not.
Oh,
Yeah, you're
sorry.
okay, you're
All
okay
right.
now.
Sorry
you.
about that. Just a few technical concerns. All right. Start this up. And all righty. So thank you again, everyone, for the time to present. Once again, my name is Tristan Hallam, and I'm the Director of Scientific Programs. And just move a few more things around. Perfect. On November 15th, a few members of the district had a privilege of touring the Mediterranean Fruit Fly Preventative Release Program, or the MedFly PRP. We were invited along with members of other vector control districts, trustees governing those agencies, and California Agriculture Associates to see what is required to control this agricultural pest. The reason we, as vector control specialists, are touring an agricultural operation is that they are successfully and continuously controlling this widespread pest with the sterile insect technique. And we are striving to adapt many of these strategies and techniques used in this agricultural operation in vector control. Now, this program is located at the Joint Forces Training Base in Los Alamitos, and is a combined effort between the United States Department of Agriculture and the California Department of Food and Agriculture. They are tasked with the preventative control of the Mediterranean fruit fly, better known as the medfly, through the use of irradiation sterile insect technique, or SIT. Now, the medfly has been a pest of California agriculture since the mid-1970s. They are voracious feeders on fruit and vegetable crops, often using these crops as breeding grounds for more flies, making the food inedible. They have been recorded able to infest over 250 cultivated and wild fruits, including many California staple crops, such as apples, avocados, coffee, and citrus, to name just a few. Historically, treatments for medflies consisted of aerial sprays over wide swaths of urban and residential land, but these control methods were reactionary and cost prohibitive. From 1975 through 1991, no less than 10 eradication programs had been mounted to the sum cost of $150 million. Starting in 1991, the Preventative Release Program, or the PRP, began a strategy to prevent these medfly infestations from occurring through the continual release of sterile male flies in high-risk areas. Now, the goal of the medfly PRP is to outcompete natural populations in the target area to prevent medfly establishment. The target area consists of 1,750 square miles throughout Los Angeles, Orange, San Bernardino, and Riverside counties. After extensive research, adequate control is achieved by deploying at least 62,500 medflies per square mile. In case you didn't have your calculator ready, that's a minimum of 109,375,000 medflies released per week. While this area is regularly targeted for prevention due to high traffic and travel, these medfly deployments can be made statewide as infestations are identified. Unlike vector control programs where we identify and control vectors in our target areas, the California Department of Food and Agriculture relies on the medfly PRP to control these pests throughout the state. Now, they can achieve this goal by standardizing, automating, and partnering to complete the various steps of the medfly growth cycle. Medfly eggs, larvae, and pupae are grown off-site at partner facilities located in Hawaii as well as Guatemala. This is due to medfly populations already established in these regions, so there's less risk of damaging local ecology in case of escapees. Additionally, the irradiation process occurs during the pupal stage at these partner facilities. As a reminder, or an SIT 101 regarding irradiation, male insects are irradiated to a point that they are no longer able to pass viable genetic materials. In medflies and mosquitoes, the females mate only once in their life cycle, and if a sterile male is that one mate, then the female can only produce eggs that will not hatch. Now, back at the medfly PRP, they receive the pupae in irradiated and bright pink color dusted bags. These shipments are received daily and stored cold to prevent the adults from emerging in casings. The pupae are then sorted by weight onto wide incubation sheets where they are provided food and area to emerge as adults. These trays are then stacked into columns where they are stored by date until they emerge as adults. At the PRP, the majority of the facility consists of modified shipping containers outfitted for heat, humidity, and light control to store these stacked columns. After the medflies have had the opportunity to emerge as adults, they are chilled to safely move them from their stacked columns to a transportable container, and that container is then passed to pilots to be released at a set height, speed, and location for maximal dispersal. Because of the shift from reactive pesticide application to proactive sterile male release, they can minimize the cost of operations from $100 million as the last successful medfly control program in 1982 to an operating cost of $8 million per year for the PRP. Now, this was an enlightening opportunity for members of San Gabriel Mosquito and Vector to see in practice SIT control on a working scale. As we move forward with other vector control agencies in applying the sterile insect technique to our individual programs, it's paramount we learn techniques and strategies from proven methods. Mass insect rearing techniques are being updated and shifted to be applied to the mosquito life stages. Automating crucial steps can save worked hours or supplies, and specializing tools or processes can improve the ability of a program to withstand failures as they occur. And lastly, understanding the scale, commitment, and cost of these processes gives us a better understanding of the time and effort that is needed for this proven technique to be applied in our novel fashion. I'd like to thank Jason for affording us the opportunity to see many of these processes, as well as Levy for coordinating our tour of the facility. I've included a link as well as a QR code below to their website, which has this and much more information about the program. Last, I'd like to thank you all for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Great, thank you very much. Did we have any public comment on this item?
No public comment, no.
Okay, great. Trustees, do we have any questions of Tristan this morning? Yes, Mr. Capocha.
Yes, Tristan, thank you. How would that translate to our vector control agency as far as cost if we had a similar program? You said it was about would you say $8 million a day or $8 million a year?
A year, absolutely.
And
So
okay, go ahead.
No, absolutely. So a lot of the work that we are currently implementing into our vector control program is trying to identify the best use of our resources as a sustainable program throughout Southern California. So currently, a lot of these research programs are still being identified and updated for our purposes. One of our neighboring agencies, Orange County Vector Control, is actually implementing a significant amount of their surveillance program into outfitting an SIT program. And while right now it's not within our budgetary practices to be able to utilize a lot of those same techniques, which is outfitting entirely separate facilities in order to grow and or rear a lot of these mosquitoes, allocate particularly individuals to be able to full-time grow these mosquitoes, irradiate them, as well as deploy them. Right now, it's not within our cost capabilities to fully implement one of these programs as a whole, but the Southern region, again, as a group of individual programs, are identifying different aspects of their programs that they're able to adapt into a lot of these different procedures. Mostly because as a whole, this is a program that we're going to be able to implement long-term for our mosquito program because it's not relying on pesticides and it's significantly not as regulated by many of the governmental regulatory agencies that are very stringent on our use of particular materials in the wild. Jason, I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add to that.
Well, excuse me, but my question
please.
is, how much would it cost? Is it similar to the 8 million a year? And I wasn't clear if the 8 million a year was for statewide or for the Southern California region.
Sure. So that 8 million primarily is covering their particular region that they have identified as their high-risk target area. That's those portions of LA County, Riverside, San Bernardino, as well as Orange. They are also deploying those medflies in other regions throughout the state, but that's as medflies are being identified in particular areas. So they focus very heavily on that particular region because that's where they've identified the majority of these new medfly infestations coming in from. So their logic is if we can eliminate a lot of these flies coming in from some of these other areas where they're known to be breeding, it stops us having to be releasing many of these flies throughout the entire state.
And as a cost comparison, so if we were to apply that $8 million to what we're doing, part of the research and the shadowing that we're doing with this program is to try to compare apples to apples. Right now, we're not comparing apples to apples. Our program would look very different. So we're trying to see how much are they paying for what they're doing and what will work for us and what won't. So for example, we can't drop mosquitoes out of airplanes. We would have to drive them around. So would that be more expensive or less expensive? We can't mail we can't use mail to order mosquitoes or deliver mosquitoes if they're not in the egg stage. So we can, eggs can travel by mail, but pupa or larvae or adults cannot. So that's a difference in the program. Is that going to make it more expensive or less expensive? So we're kind of looking at every step of the medfly program, seeing what will work and seeing what won't. And this is part of the research that we're doing to develop some hard costs that we don't really have right now.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, because I've always felt like I don't know what it is, but at some point, people would be willing to pay for an eradication, management program like that. I don't know how much people would be willing to pay, but I'm sure they would pay something for it. So that's to me the question. If we ever get to the point where we have a viable means of doing this, then it would be something we would have to put out to the voters to see whether they would pay for an increase in their assessment to do this. So, okay.
Another interesting thing about this program is that because it's kind of a standalone program, it's funded on its own, it works on its own as a part of the Department of Agriculture and the other agencies that Tristan mentioned. That's something that we're looking to model too. If we can do this as a regional effort that's funded, separately from our individual districts and our individual assessments, that might be something that the state or some of these other regional organizations and agencies might be able to help with the cost.
Yeah, good point. Great.
Thank you. Anyone else with questions? Yes, thank you, Tristan. That was a great report and things for us to consider. And I think we all remember those malathion flyovers and spraying of the blanket spraying. So this sounds like a much better operation. So look forward to how we could apply that to us. Okay, we will move on then to item 5, Board of Trustees and Committees reoccurring meeting items. And I'll ask first, I'll get this down. Did we have any public comment on this one?
No public comment, no.
And so Cecilia, I will let you explain this wonderful calendar, or between you and Jason make the comments.
I'll go ahead and speak on it quickly. Although this item isn't as interesting as Tristan's, I'm sorry. I will be giving a brief overview of the calendar that was included in your packet. So staff has put together this calendar as a resource for board members to reference regarding recurring meeting items that are scheduled throughout the year. There are 2 separate documents, one specifically for board meetings, and then we have one for committee meetings. So we understand that each of you have various meetings, events, commitments going on that you're juggling at any given time. So we wanted to provide this as to serve as a guideline so that you are aware of upcoming meeting items that are planned. In putting this together, we did try to consolidate items that could be agenda sized in one meeting as opposed to having multiple meetings with one item whenever possible. With that being said, I also would like to mention that these dates are not hard set because as you all are aware, there are times when unforeseen circumstances do come up and a deadline or a quorum can't be met. So we wanted to ensure that there was that flexibility if needed in those situations. But as a general rule of thumb, we would like to ask that you keep these dates in mind as these dates are intended to be scheduled as they are listed here. And then as different policies and laws are required and or adopted, we'll be adding them on the calendar, and then we'll ensure to update it and share with you all. Lastly, I would like to note, although there is no information in some of the notes, in some of the months on the calendar, that does not mean that there will be no meeting items on that month. So we ask that you keep the second Fridays of each month at 7 a.m. Clear on your calendars to the best of your abilities for our regular board meetings.
Cecilia, you might just as a suggestion, you could go ahead and put that clarification in there so someone looking at it at a glance doesn't get the idea we don't have a meeting.
Great suggestion. I will do that. So to wrap up, I would like to say we're always looking for ways to improve communication with the board, and we really strive to be respectful of your time. So we're hoping this will be a bit helpful for you all. As always, if there's any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to me, and I would be happy to help.
Thank you very much. This is very helpful. Are there any questions, comments for Cecilia? Okay, not seeing any raised hands. Thank you very much to staff for putting this together. It's very helpful. Okay, moving on to item 6, trustee service pin presentation. Obviously, we're not in person, and so there is no pinning this morning. There you go. There's the nice pins. And did we have any public comment on this item?
No public comment, no.
Thank you. Okay, then we will start off, and with 5 years, actually mine's a little more than 5 years, but I receive a 5-year pin. And Mr. Sandoval receives a 5-year pin from the city of Pomona. John Capocha, city of Sierra Madre, a 5-year pin. Corey Kaleke, Corey, 10 years. And Harold Bisner, 10 years as well. Is Jamie on the line this morning?
Yes, he is here. He arrived a bit late, but he should
Okay.
be.
So Jamie,
Hey, do we get a mosquito statue?
yeah, the pin should really be more like a little mosquito. So congratulations to all those receiving their service pins, and we thank you so very much for your service and dedication on this board. Does any of our recipients, do they want to make a comment? Okay, thanks a lot. Item 7, we'll move on then to district administration reports. And Jason, I will turn it over to you. And before I do, were there any public comments requested, public comment requests for item 7?
No public comment.
Thank you very much. But trustees, you will have a chance to ask questions if you have them. Okay, Jason.
All right, thank you, Madam President. First, I have a reminder to the trustees whose terms are ending this year. We still have not received appointment confirmation from Alhambra, Azusa, Irwindale, Laverne, Pomona, or Temple City. So if you are in those cities, if you could remind your city clerks to get that information over to us as soon as possible, so we can begin the new year.
And Jason, since I didn't know exactly how I might work this in, but I do know we have Stephen Sham on the line, and this, I believe, is his last meeting. He is not going to pursue reapproval, and so a reappointment. And I wanted to give Stephen a chance if he wanted to make a comment. Stephen.
Thank you, Madam President.
Yeah.
I have, served on the board on behalf of City of Alhambra since 2004. It has been a wonderful 18 years. During these 18 years, I have privilege to serve as a president of this board for 2 years. I have a wonderful time and learn a lot, not only from the staff as well as from the board members. I like to thank all our staffs and board members for all these years. And well, 18 years, that's a long time. I think it's time for new people to come in to serve and on behalf of the city, and I can move on with my own life and doing something else. And at this time, I like to say I wish everybody healthy, happy holidays and a wonderful 2023. Thank you so much, Madam President.
Thank you, Stephen, and we will miss you. Cynthia, your hand is raised.
Yes, congratulations, Stephen, on your 18 years of service. I was just reappointed on Tuesday, so our city clerk should be sending something over to Cecilia. So thank you. Looking forward to serving another 2 years.
Thank you, Cynthia. Okay, Jason, I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, thank you. And thank you, Trustee Sham, for your service. Next on the list here, we do have a trustee travel and attendance approval for the 2023 MVCAC annual conference. Trustee Johnson and Trustee Dornick will be joining us for that conference. And we still have the application period open for the AMCA annual conference in March. Next, I think it goes without saying that the mosquito populations and West Nile virus detection has plummeted for the year. So we are officially in the off season. And even though it's a lot slower, the district does continue very active and full surveillance, site inspection, and field control. All of our services are still available for our residents, and we will still be responding to resident service requests and inquiries. During this slower time, the district directors have begun reviewing data and program results from their respective departments, and we started focusing on our strategic planning for 2023. And finally, on behalf of the district, I just want to thank all of you trustees for a great year. Your service and dedication to the district is very much appreciated. And so I wish all of you a very happy holiday season and a happy new year. And that concludes my report.
Great, thank you. Does anyone have any questions of Jason? Cynthia, your hand is raised. Is that just? Do you have a question? Want to make sure.
I do not. I just did not lower it. Sorry.
Okay, great. No problem. Okay, moving on then to committee reports. We did not have any committees meeting this past month, so we do not have any reports unless, Jason, did you have anything to add under this item?
No, I do not.
Okay, then trustee reports. Anything from our trustees wanting to report? Okay, I do have. Yes.
President Shevlin, I see raised hand again for trustee Sternberg.
Right, and I don't, Cynthia, were you going to mention Joe Lyons is?
Yes, I was. I was going to say that this morning, sadly, I received a posting that Joe Lyons from Claremont had passed away.
Yeah.
And I wanted to share that with the board.
Right, and I in fact I have the post that you sent to me, and for those of you that did not know Joe, he was a longtime City of Claremont council member, and he was very active in the area. I served with him for many years on the San Gabriel Valley Council of Government Homelessness Committee. And it was, the post reads, "It is with very heavy heart that I write this post. After a long battle with prostate cancer, my dad, AKA Papa Joe, passed away this afternoon. He touched so many lives through various ventures in life, from coaching soccer, academic boosters, city council, mayor of Claremont, City of Hope, various nonprofit organizations. Loving husband, to a father and grandfather, you will be missed. Our hearts are broken till we meet again. Rest in peace. Love you, Dad." So yes, he will truly be missed, and that's Joe Lyons from the City of Claremont. So I know that Corey worked with him for many years, and Joe will definitely be missed. Corey, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just thank you to you and Cynthia for sharing that with everyone. Joe is a great colleague, and the one thing that I always respected, he and I were oftentimes on different sides of issues, but we had a great deal of mutual respect for each other, and tried to set the bar for our community and our society these days, where when people don't agree, they tend to be very hateful to each other and unkind to each other. Contrary to that, Joe and I were always very civil with each other and good friends outside the process. So I do appreciate that you're acknowledging him today, and potentially are we going to adjourn in his memory?
Yes.
That'd be nice. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other trustee reports this morning? I see any raised hands. Okay, we do not have any new business that I'm aware of, unless someone else would like to, if they have anything they want to propose for new business. Not seeing any, then we do come to our adjournment. And again, I would like to very much adjourn the meeting in honor and memory of Joe Lyons, longtime Claremont City Councilman, and just overall nice guy and very active in our San Gabriel Valley. So Joe, you will be missed, and we keep you, your family and friends in our hearts and prayers. So with that, I would like to also just wish everyone very, very happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and until we meet again in January and in the new year, and look forward to good things in 2023. And with that, then we are